referees make a call in the night, fight fans, and they automatically go after the referees. He made the wrong decision. With doing this course, it's just opened up my eyes to what these guys are subjected to. And the same as judging as well. I had no idea. A good coach will show you how to punch a 1-2. An amazing coach will break it down and he'll get inside your head and he'll make it second nature to you. If it's constantly and you're not winning and you're not getting better, then it's time to walk away from this sport. And right now, in the gym, man, I feel so good. I almost feel like I'm having a rebirth with the love of the sport.
Here we are.
Yep.
How are ye?
I'm good. It's obviously Monday before we fight on the Saturday. Most important.
Not you and I. I'm not fighting you this weekend. Thank you very much.
You're going to be there working hard as well. Your job's much more stressful than ours. We've just got 15 minutes.
I'm not getting shin kicked in the face potentially.
But that's easy enough. We train for that, and we only do it 15 minutes. Whereas when you start from the prelims to the end of the night, it's such a long slog for you. So I take my hat off to you. I'm
definitely going to say some more nice things about you now on the weekend, Paul.
That's what I'm doing. I'm sweetening you up, John.
I can see it's a nice little massage that you gave me there. A verbal massage. Very much appreciated. Well, now we've gotten out of the way how difficult my job is. The easy part, Paul, is speaking to you guys. It's always a pleasure, particularly you. I got to see your handsome face in Abu as well. I wasn't expecting that. How was it to share a little fight week action with the family?
It was great. I've been in this job for a number of years now, and just fighting for the UFC, I think it's maybe like 10 plus years. 21 fights. This will be my 21st fight in Paris, and my family have never experienced the UFC with me because I don't want my kids there. They're both girls.
Yeah.
So I don't want them experiencing that. And we were in Abu Dhabi for a holiday. I was doing a bit of fight camp there with TK MMA. Great gym. Well, like the fighters that are coming out of there are brilliant. Not only that, they've got a new champion in Hamza Chimaev. So I was out there doing a little bits and bobs, and we then hit up with the UFC. You guys were in Yas Island. We dropped over, did a couple of cool events with Gilbert Burns and Gregory Rodriguez. And the UFC just wined and dined my family, and my family now think this is what my life's like all the time. And I'm like, no, they turned it up. They were doing this as a show for you guys. So now when I say I'm going to work. So now when I say I'm going to work,
you can't say that anymore. I know that your girls are older than mine, but my daughter, when I come back from a trip, she says, "Daddy, how was your holiday?" Now, I can laugh that off, but now you have a problem because it does look like a work trip for you. It's like a holiday with all these roller coasters and fine dining.
Yep, that's it. And they're like, it doesn't seem like you are working. No, it's definitely stressful. It's stressful, but it's like when the UFC roll into town, and especially somewhere like Yas Island, we were swept off our feet, and honestly, it was an amazing experience for my kids. And my daughter's 10 and 19, and it's cool to experience with them. Both having different experiences with me being a fighter and being a fighter for the UFC. They've had different experiences growing up, so it was cool.
Nice. So did the girls get to go to the fights?
They did. They got to sit in the second row. Full family was there. My daughter, as we came walking in, it was maybe the second fight where the guy's eye had swollen up.
I was about to say, and I was going to use a very bad Scottish accent, and I'm not sure what film it's on, but there's been a murder, and the Muhammad Yahya fight was pretty gnarly if you're a first-timer.
Yeah. Well, that was what my daughter had noticed, because obviously she's seen little bits and bobs on social media. She's seen me fight before. When I say seen me fight, I've vetted the fight and then showed her it. And that first initial hit, you know when you hear somebody's leg slapping against somebody's body, or you see a punch, you hear a punch, and you hear the canvas, the noise it makes as they hit the ground. She was like, oh. So she was quite taken aback by the actual noise there. And then the fans in the arena, like for it being a fight night, was still incredible. Like, we're going to hear this tenfold when we go back. The UFC goes back for Tom Aspinall versus Gann. They're going to blow the roof off it. But for that noise for a fight night was incredible. Not an empty seat in the house. The guys basically stood the whole time, shouting, jeering, loving the show that the UFC put on. And I'm glad it was an exciting show for my kids to enjoy.
Yeah, oh, good. I'm pleased that everyone had a positive experience. There's nothing quite like a UFC fight night, and you know that, but it's hard to describe to other people. So when they get to see it firsthand, then they understand. So in amongst this, you know, you've come off of a fight, and I'm not sure you even want me to say his name. We'll find out how you feel, but Bellato, Adolfo Bellato. I'm thinking back to a word that I learned recently from the very famous Paul Craig. Can we call him a pellet? Is that what we're calling him?
I do think so. And I was very lucky enough this weekend to do a refereeing course with English Mixed Martial Arts Association. So I was there, I sat and done a 2-day course with the guys, and I learned the ins and outs of what a foul is, deliberate foul to an accidental foul, and the outcome of this. And the referee at the time, he made the right call, but it's what the opponent does. And then when you watch it back, and I've had time to reflect on this, and it does look a bit suspect, and the perfect word you would use is, the guy's a pellet. And for him to be a UFC fighter and represent the company that I love, and the company that the vast majority of the world loves, I think it's terrible that he did that under the bright lights. Like, if it was that bad, take the knee. But if it wasn't that bad, he's going to be remembered the rest of his career for that one moment. Like, the same as, no matter what I'll do, I'll be remembered for the Ankalaev submission. That's going to go down there. I'll be remembered for the Jamal Hill breakage. I'll be remembered for getting knocked out as well against people like Kyle Barallo, against Khalil Roundtree. But his legacy, right now as it stands, is going to be him flopping around in that ground, wasting his legacy. So it still astounds me to this day.
I'm not going to cast any judgments on it for obvious reasons. Just a hugely unfortunate situation. I'm really interested in the fact that you went to the referee and judging course. Was that perhaps a little bit motivated by the situation, Paul, or was it just? I know that you're involved in the sport in many different ways, but I'm interested to know the timing of you signing up for that course.
Yeah. So when I signed up, I didn't have a fight confirmed, and then the two of them kind of coincided with the same week, so it's not an issue.
Okay.
What for me, it's about upskilling. I do the Leather podcast, and we break down fights. Now, how can I break down fights if I don't have a basic grasp of the rules, which I clearly didn't? Talking with the EMA officials, I very quickly realised that I do not know the rules for mixed martial arts. I have done this job for well in 10 years, and I am just discovering stuff which I had no idea. One of the things was, we had Mark Goddard last week, 2 weeks ago, with Kiefer Crosby, the knee. And Mark Goddard's took a lot of flack for this. But under the rules, the call that Mark Goddard took at that moment is the right call. There's only 2 fouls. There's only 2 fouls in the whole of MMA under the unified rules where you'll get a 5-minute time stoppage, and that's for a crotch shot or a groin shot and for an eye poke. They're the only 2 that stoppage. So once Mark had then checked with the referee, the doctor, the official, and the doctor had said he's cleared him, and then you go to the fighter and say to Kiefer Crosby, are you okay to continue? And he then says yes. By the rules of the unified rules, he has to then continue with this fight. Now, it didn't go his way, right? But we seen this a few months ago with the Iron Turtle when it did go his way. So it's this swings and roundabouts, and it's easy when you lose, and this maybe had an impact on him. But then you can't, if you tell the referee at that moment, I am able to continue, you can't then bring it back and be like, well, I didn't get my 5 minutes, I didn't get this. No. At that moment, in the heat of the moment, regardless of if you were drowsy or not, you told the referee very comprehensively, like, you are able to continue. And it's, for what I learned over the 2 days, it's about, there's not a lot of protection there for referees. Referees make a call in the night, and the first thing that you go to the social medias, you go to fight fans, and they automatically go after the referees. He made the wrong decision. We go again for Hamza Chimaev versus DDP. Outstanding performance for Hamza, but what we had was, why did they stand him up? Why did he stand him up? The referees still brought into this. So it's crazy that these guys are refereeing a match with two athletes who are highly strung at the moment because they're underneath all this pressure, all this excitement, all this fighting for a title or fighting in the UFC, fighting for a lot of money, whatever it is. It's a heated sport, and the referee's got to stay impartial. He's got to stay very, very much in the moment, and he's got to make a judgment. And we're talking seconds he has to make a judgment. And with doing this course, it's just opened up my eyes to what these guys are subjected to. And the same as judging as well. I had no idea. And I think more fighters should go and do these courses just as self-development, not to go with the intent of being a referee or a judge. Just go with the intent of, I want to know more about your sport.
Well, you've got to really know what you're fighting against, not against, but what you're trying to satisfy in order to get the win if it does go to the judges' scorecards. What are they looking for? How can I make a difference in this fight? And I try my best in the broadcast to do this. I check in with judges and referees a lot. On that Kiefer Crosby situation, the doctor didn't do Mark any favours there. The doctor, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't had my refresher. The doctor could have had up to 5 minutes for his assessment.
Yes.
But then he decided that he was in and out in like 15 seconds.
Yep.
And then it's
up to Mark. As soon as that judgment's made. Yep.
Yes. And then Mark said, are you happy to continue? And when Kiefer said yes, and by the way, I've got sympathy for Kiefer. I really have. But Mark, from what I understand of the rules and the way that this is all laid out, especially with a head strike, like the whole thing about DQing the guy, and you can speak to this, Paul, that Tylak wasn't looking to throw away the fight. He was winning that fight. He timed that shot thinking that his opponent wasn't grounded. Whether that be a miscomprehension, whether that be a timing issue, caught up in the moment, he was winning that fight. He's not looking to throw the fight. He didn't sit there and flying headbutt the guy with malice. That's a DQ. He's trying to time things in the moment, and sometimes you guys get it wrong. You should be chastised for it. You should be told off, hence the 2 points. But that's the difference between the intentional foul, the DQ, and why it goes the way that it does. Horrible situation for everyone. Even that Tylak, that finish flying through the air, elbow, ground and pound. Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
Absolutely disgusting, and like a good way. Violence personified, but we're all talking about the Kiefer Crosby, like the whole debacle around that, and our lack of understanding as fans and media. Sometimes it can throw these officials under the bus, and it's really unfortunate. So I really commend you, Paul, for going and sitting in a room full of officials who often fighters think they are fighting against. You know, not many fighters speak highly of judges, for example. So that's good on you, and I hope it does serve you well as you continue in your career to understand what they're looking for. And maybe it means that after you hit that single leg, that you go straight for a submission or a couple more elbows rather than securing a little bit of control time.
Yep, definitely. I was looking at from my fights, and I've been on the receiving end of what I've believed is unfair judging or unfair refereeing. And when you look at the rules and you look at the judging criteria, then it just makes so much more sense. Yep, nobody's wrong here apart from you, Paul. These people are doing their job the same as you do their job. Paul, you make mistakes during your fights. Yep, as same as these guys can make mistakes, but that's why they're constantly trying to improve their refereeing abilities, improve the judging abilities. They're out there working hard the same as we're doing. When we're in training, they're doing the exact same thing. They're watching fights, they're breaking down rules, they're looking at different examples of poor practice or good practice. So it's a difficult job. And on the flip side, as a fan, do I want to see AI coming in and start judging these fights? No, I don't. that takes away. We've seen it destroy football. Like football at the moment, I do believe the exciting thing was offside, onside. Seeing these goals getting chopped off is terrible for soccer or football. And in the same breath, I don't want to see it happen to your sport. I don't want to see your sport become clinical and it's a robot judging it. That would be terrible. So I want to see these people make mistakes. I want to see these people get it right. I want to see these people learn and develop. So it was definitely an eye-opener for me.
Okay. Can I just talk about the Bellato moment, Paul? Just to help us understand where you're at, because I've listened to you talk about this and you almost talk about it. It sounds like you're talking about it as a third person. Like this is what Paul Craig did. And I can only imagine I was there ready for you to be the co-main event against this guy and he pulled out. Your run of form, your decision to change weight classes, the stage you're at in your career, that there's so much there, Paul, and I use this word quite a lot. I'm quite an emotional guy and I really like to try and understand you guys as the 0.5%, these superheroes that we celebrate. I would be so stressed going into this situation with my livelihood and am I making all the right decisions? Yes. Then something like that happens. And I'm just asking you, and maybe it's unfair, but I'm trying to get the emotional angle of Paul Craig here to be like, what have I done? And what does this mean? So can you kind of take us back into the octagon when all of this is kind of unfolding and how you perhaps felt the emotions around what it all meant?
Yep. So even if we go back further than the actual fight itself in Atlanta, if we go back 4 weeks prior to that, with the pullout due to a rash, which turns out to be a cold sore or herpes, whatever you want to look at it, cold sore, herpes flex, and whatever you think, I'm ready to walk. I've been given the call for the referee. The referee comes in and does our final chat. The blue shirts then, the people who run backstage, are basically lining me up. I've got my fight kit on, ready to walk. And then Hunter Campbell comes in and says, listen, Paul, your opponent's had to pull out due to... So at that moment, my emotions are all over the place. I'm angry. Not under the sense of like, I'm angry because I don't get to finish this fight. I'm angry because I don't get to relax, because it's almost like we go through a period of, during the fight, you need to come out the other end of that to fully appreciate the fight camp, to fully appreciate the fight, or even if it's win or lose, it doesn't matter. And then having to go home and wait 4 weeks and do another 4-week fight camp, that was horrible. Like, my body was breaking, shoulders were slipping. There was a lot of damage done in the fight camp itself, as most fight camps happen. A lot of people won't speak about this, but there's a lot of niggles you pick up during a fight camp, and everybody you ask the questions, how was your fight camp? Oh, it's amazing. The best I've ever felt. Everybody says the same thing. But in fight camps, all fighters will be out there listening and saying, yep, he's absolutely right. You pick up niggles, be it from maybe fractures in your hands, wrists ending up sore, the same for your feet, ankles, knees. There's a whole host of things that can happen during a fight camp. And we pushed our body to the brink with the first 12-week fight camp. Had on another 4 weeks in that, the body's in bits. And then you then go to Arizona not to have a close on that fight. Emotionally, I was drained. I was like, this is horrible. Is this what my career's now became? Like I need a victory. I need to win. And I've not got it. And I was all over the place. It was horrible. And then to end the way it did end was even more horrible. Like, I'm just astounded by that fight camp. And for me, it was the purple shots. Like, fighters are very superstitious. Like, we do the same thing, we eat the same thing. We'd wear like our red bands, or we wear pictures of our family. I had selected these purple shots, what I'd never wore. I was going to wear them in the first Bellato fight, and I was going to wear them for the rematch. So for me now, these shots are tainted. These shots are like, these shots are jinxed to me. And it's something so simple as that. So I'll never wear these shots again. That colour of shorts, which is funny.
Yeah. And not many fighters actually confess to superstitions now. I used to go into fighter interviews going, any superstitions, any lucky kit. And I think it was only Molly McCann from memory that actually detailed that she had a certain set of kit, and I think it goes back to like football. I know when I played a lot of football, I did used to have my lucky undercrackers and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So it is kind of it's interesting to hear you open up and speak about that, and actually that probably helps you compartmentalize it, right?
It does, yep. Like, you don't want to say, because we have a great fight camp, you have a good fight camp, you get to the fight, and you sort of look for reasons of why it's going to go your way or why it's not going to go your way. So that, it was like this anomaly of an opponent getting pulled out, and we're talking less than 30 minutes before a fight. Right, it has to be something, there has to be something there, and then the fight 4 weeks later ends in this weird outcome as well. So you're like, right, what is it I've done wrong? What is it I've done right? Where's the moment? And it was like, it's these fucking purple shots. It was these shots. And it has to be, because everything else was so good. So you have to kind of blame something down the line. So you'll never see me in the purple shots again.
Yeah, love it. I caught up with Doolin on the way out to the first scheduled bout with Bellato, and he kind of let me in on a few things about your fight camp, some of the stuff you're working on. And then I heard you talking with Ross, your co-host on the Leather podcast, saying how a lot of these things you're working on, you were really happy about translating that gym form into the fight. If you can double down on that for us, just so that we can understand maybe a couple of the areas that we should get more excited about for this fight, without speaking Modestas, but more about you and the advancements, changes to your game.
Yep, so 3 years ago I made the decision to move to James Doolan. I'd always heard good words about James Doolan, but I never realised how good a coach he was. And everybody I speak to who has worked with James or knows James in the UK or even in the world will always speak very highly of him. Now, when I went there, I didn't think it would make huge differences. I was like, right, he's going to tighten up some stuff. And then I started working with his striking. So under James Doolan's my head coach. He then puts me with his striking coach. So then I start working with a guy called Primi. And then he starts looking at, rather than, I want you to get better at this, Paul, and I want to add this to your game, he's like, see what you've got? We're just going to make that better. So one of the things we looked at is, Paul, you've got a big, powerful set of legs. We know that through the triangle submissions, armbar submissions, you've got a lot of strength there. Why are we not using these kicks? Why are we not haphazardly blasting people with kicks and kicking them into next week? What if they take you down? Well, what if they do take you down, Paul? That's half your battle done. So it's working with top level coaches in these areas to try and improve them. And then I'm working with jiu-jitsu, the jiu-jitsu coach for higher level, Kieran Reid, and then he's the same. He's taking little bits of my game and saying, listen, you've got a very good triangle. Can we then bridge out this way? Rather than just being like, when I'm in this moment of, I'm looking for a triangle, I've locked up the figure four. Now he's looking at different stuff like, maybe we're moving to K-guard, maybe we're going backside 50-50, maybe we're looking for these not Ezekiel chokes, straight arm bars, or that's where he's moving us now. He's moving me from being a one-dimensional fighter to be like, yep, Paul, you're good at these areas, so let's no neglect them. Let's improve a wider circle. Let's have a better opportunity. If it doesn't go well with the triangle, where can we go for this? So it's that kind of stuff. And having somebody like James Doolan, one of the best things he's ever done was, I'm very emotional when it comes to music. I love music, and it's one of these things that fire me up. It either fires me up, makes me sad, makes me happy, makes me glad, makes me reminisce. Music is a big part of my life, and it's like, it doesn't matter what band it is, I'll have some sort of emotional connection to them. Now, I've always walked out to stuff like Biffy Clyro or Chasing Status, and We Were Promised Jetpacks, songs that mean something to me growing up, or songs that mean something to me emotionally. And James phones me up one day and he goes, I've picked your walkout song. So nobody's ever picked my walkout song before. I'm like, right, okay. And he's like, it's Hanson Mbop. And I go, Hanson? And he goes, yep. And I go away, and we walk out in Madison Square Garden to Hanson Mbop. The best I've ever felt. I get into the cage, I'm so relaxed, I'm so good. And then I had to step back and look at what it was he did. No, he didn't tell me this. He didn't come out and say, Paul, this is why I did this. What he did was, he'd taken away that emotional connection to a song, and he picked the song because Who doesn't like Hanson Mbop? Who's out there like, that's the worst song ever made? It's not. Everybody enjoys it. Everybody knows the words. So he's like, there's no emotional connection where you're going to burn this emotional energy. But what I will do is I'll make you nice and happy, and it'll make you in a nice movement. And it did. And that, for me, is what makes James an amazing coach. Individually picking why he's training people in a certain way. Because he'll not train everybody the same way. When you look at young Sean Clancy, who's like the next prospect in Cage Warriors, hopefully he gets to the UFC, he's not training him the same way he's training me. He knows his fighters inside and out, and he's doing different things with them. And that, for me, is what makes a coach. Like, a good coach to being an amazing coach. A good coach will show you how to punch a 1-2. An amazing coach will break it down, and he'll get inside your head, and he'll make it second nature to you. Yeah.
I love that. That's a great little story as well. I think that's really cool, because I know that Gooden loves his music as well. And I have to say, of all the fighters on the roster, I love listening to your stories, because you do have a little bit more guitar music in there. And I've probably clicked onto the Biffy Clyro playlist more because I'm a Paul Craig fan than I have done for any other reason. And my wife was in the music business. So yeah, it's really nice to have that difference. But what a lovely little story that is. Very cool. Another thing that I really like about the connection that you got in your team is Adam. I take it he's still doing your strength and conditioning. I know that you guys, I know that you guys love your data. And I'm interested to know what new PBs you've got. Are you lifting more? Are you sprinting harder? What does it look like?
So one of the battles that we had is moving back from being a middleweight to a light heavyweight was, right, we need to get more mass on you. Because even when we were light heavyweight the first time round, before we made that move, we were very undersized for being a light heavyweight. When I say undersized, we had the tall, we had the power in my legs, but one of the things we need to do is, can we get you a much bigger weight? Can we get you sitting at 105, 106, 107 up this neck of the woods before we hit a fight camp? So for this fight camp, that's what we worked on. We worked on, how can I increase more mass, but not only just put on mass in the sense of, because it can easily transfer over as fat. So it needs to be purposeful mass. Can we put on muscle mass? Can we put on explosive muscle mass? So these are what we were looking at, and working with guys like the Lee Rickards, the nutritionist from Boxing Science, and getting all the data. Because it's not just one guy who's like, right, Paul, I want this as a program. He needs to have the data to be like, right, we're going to have him a lot lighter on his feet. So that was some of the things we looked at. How can we improve Paul? If we're looking at Paul as a fighter and I want to improve him, or I'm fighting against him, where's his weaknesses? And that's what we do as a team. So that's including James, the Thai coaches, the jiu-jitsu coaches, Adam, Lee, all these guys come together, and it's like, right, how would we fight Paul? Right, well, we know he's quite flat-footed, so like, let's go. We're going to make him more explosive in these areas. We're going to make him more reactive in these areas. Next, how are we going to stop him from getting hit? Because we know he gets hit. We see him against Kyle Barallo. He took a heavy shot, and that's what finished the fight. He's moving back in straight lines. Can we get him to angle off? Can we get him to be, as well as being light in his foot, better footwork? So then we look at doing footwork. And that's what these guys are doing. So Adam's doing lots of plyometrics ways. He's doing lots of footwork drills with us, loads of ladder drills. And in this house then, we can't be doing something in there that doesn't transfer over to the fight. For instance, if I'm just lifting weights and I'm getting super strong, that's great. But what you've got to remember is you've got 15 minutes in a fight. So if you go in under 2 minutes, you're already gassed, then what's the point of putting on that size? So that's what we did for this fight camp. We had to improve as a light heavyweight, and the numbers are still good. The numbers are getting better as I'm getting older, and that's what it blows my mind. Because I spoke to you many moons ago and said, my number for leaving this sport, as soon as I'm 35, I'm out. And 35 came and went. I'm 37 now. And then I put this other caveat on it. As soon as my numbers, or I'm taking second prizes in the gym, or I've got a few different matrix that I'm using, as soon as these start to disappear, then it's time for me to walk away. Now, losing rounds in the gym happens, but if it's constantly and you're not winning and you're not getting better, then it's time to walk away for this sport. Yeah. And right now, in the gym, man, I feel so good. I almost feel like I'm having a rebirth with the love of the sport. It went from being And I think it was going to middleweight makes me appreciate so much more that I've got energy, I've got carbohydrates in my body, my glycogen levels are full. All this stuff makes a much better fighter. Imagine that. Imagine if you're dehydrating yourself and manipulating your weight to the lowest possible point, you feel terrible. Imagine you feel terrible without eating. That's like the basic like building
Human
blocks of
need,
life.
isn't it?
If you're not eating,
Yeah.
you're not going to have energy. And now we're over fueling ourselves for this and we're feeling great.
Love it. I love listening to a happy fighter. It warms my heart. Speaking of warming my heart or making it very uncomfortable, you versus Modestas.
Yep.
The very first coach I think I spoke to on this commentary journey that I was on was 15 years ago, and it was Modestas' dad. So he ran a school in Watford where I'm from, and it was a lot of the time our team versus their team. And I've known Gintas for a very long time. I have a lot of respect for him. Didn't really know Modestas coming up, but of course joined the UFC. And you, if you don't mind me saying, I class you as a friend. You know, you're one of my favourite people on the circuit. But it's a difficult one for me to see two guys that I respect, coming together and having this battle. But the best man must win, or best woman must win. That's how it is in this sport. But there's a lot of crossover in this. You've trained with the Aspinalls in the past and gone down into the north of England. Modestas is over there now. But without me stealing food off your plate, dress this up for us, Paul. What are we looking at with this battle of the Brits, if you will?
That's exactly it. It's the battle of the Brits. Who is the best light heavyweight in the UFC? Now, I appreciate Modestas' skill when I watch him. I enjoy watching him. He's very light in his feet, hits, moves. So we're looking at this again, and that's what we're like, right, how can we utilise your skill? How can we utilise your jiu-jitsu? Just need to get a hold of him. Once you get a hold of him, we'll take him to the ground. Now, a lot of people don't realise, but he's got really good jiu-jitsu. And we know enough, there's enough people in our circles who have trained with him, trained with me, and they'll talk to you and they'll give you information about, he's very good here, he's very good here, he's disappointing here. But you need to take that with a pinch of salt because people change, people get better. Now, I know for a fact he's going to be worried about the triangle, as most people are doing. So he's going to be in these situations. But what people don't realise is when I lock that up, it doesn't matter how much defence you've done, my triangle's fucking good. And it's the same when I get somebody,
it is.
When I get somebody on their back, my jiu-jitsu is where I flourish. So we know we've got that area covered. We're like, right, we know Modestas is a very good practitioner of jiu-jitsu, wrestling, all this kind of stuff, training with Tom Aspinall's dad, who's an amazing jiu-jitsu practitioner and a great clean. He'll have a game plan put out and it'll be an amazing game plan. But what you need to remember is, in the fight, he needs to run that game plan for my jiu-jitsu. So then we're now looking at our striking and we're like, how can we outstrike Modestas? Can we outstrike Modestas? And we can. We do believe we can. We do believe with the footwork stuff we're doing, the movement we're doing, the already improved striking game that I've showcased in my last few fights. When I look back at my fights when I first joined the UFC, how terrified I was almost like a cat, a rabbit caught in the headlights when I was standing up. You move this to the point now where I feel nice and relaxed and I'm able to fit in the pocket and I'm able to slip. I'm able to use my footwork to push people up against the cage. And I've showcased little glimmers of how good my striking can be. And I showcased it in the last fight. The nice big heavy kicks, good solid jab. And that's what we're going to utilise on the weekend. Come Saturday, it's going to be nice, crisp striking. But ultimately, we're looking to drag him to the mat and get our submission game on the go.
Love it. How excited are you about the Paris crowd? Because they are loud and they're special group of supporters.
Yeah, they're in for a bit of a treat as well. So we've seen them make some noise, but I believe this card is an absolute barn burner from start to finish. We've got some of the top French guys showcased on this, and then we're getting to see like Imavov versus Kyle Barallo. That fight itself is incredible. We're getting to see Prates. We're getting to see these fighting nerds kicking ass what they've been doing. So I'm excited for that. And then I'm excited to see people, UK fighters, English fighters getting the run out as well, because that's one of the best things about having a European card. Getting to see local homegrown talent getting the opportunity to fight in this. I think the French people are in for an absolute winner of a show. I break down these fights every week and I look at the cards and I'm always like, this is not a great card, this is a good card, it doesn't deliver. This card is going to deliver and it's also an absolute winner. So the fans are in for, they're going to blow the roof right off this place.
Yeah, I love it. I've got to get your take on the main event. Obviously, done the dance with Bohalio. There's a kind of mini middleweight tournament going on right now. Obviously, Chimaev, King of the Mountain, but there's a bunch of people that are queuing up to face him. Big job for Bohalio and Imavov to try and get it done and position themselves in that front runner spot for the next title challenge. But how do you see it going down?
It's a really tough one because Imavov is an all-rounder amazing. And he's showcased everything. He's showcased good groundwork, good striking, good grappling. He's showcased all this. We've only seen the tip of the iceberg with Kyle. And I think what stands him and his team away from everybody else is this smart aspect that they're bringing to the sport. It's this intelligent breaking down a fighter, breaking down every move of a fighter to know how they're going to win it. Now, he was, like, we've not seen his jiu-jitsu. Now, I know he's a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner, but he never showcased it against me. And it wasn't because he couldn't handle my jiu-jitsu. That's not why that was. He didn't want that. He wanted to knock me out. And he came out and said that. He's like, no, I'm going to go. I don't mind going to the ground with Paul Craig. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock him out. And for that, these guys and the fighting nerds have amazing game plans. And that's where I think this fight's going to be won. And I think it might be Kyle Barallo. And I think it's going to be a stoppage. I like Imavov, and I hate going against somebody that I like. But I just think if I was a betting man, Kyle Barallo he's got something.
Yeah, like it. Love the take. 21st fight, is it in the UFC now for you, Paul? Is that right?
Yep. I was talking about it the weekend. I've had 25 fight camps. 25 fight camps in this sport. 21 fights come Saturday. So I'm a bit of a veteran. When I hear people saying, look, he's a UFC vet, like, I do believe I'm a UFC vet now.
Yeah. Yeah, and not many people make it to that number, Paul. That's an incredible number to get to. You've carried your nation on your shoulders as well. I know Stevie Ray was there as well, and JoJo has done her thing, but it is a real accomplishment that you and your team should be proud of. I'm excited to see you go to work. I'm going to be there. I missed out, you see, with the Bellato one. I thought I was going to be up close and personal again, but I'm going to get to smell the blood and sweat close up on Saturday night.
Can't wait. Always enjoy having you commentating as well, John. It's like, I know I sound like I'm smoking and I'm like trying to be the good guy, but I genuinely think you're one of the best in the business. And I've had this conversation with you personally. I love your commentary. I love what you bring to it, and I love the fact that the research you do on each individual fighter is far above anybody else in this sport. So keep doing what you're doing, man. And as I said, love when you're breaking down my fights.
God bless you, mate. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Means a lot. Have a safe travel over to Paris, and I'll see you in the next couple of days.
I'll see you soon, my friend. Stay safe.